For about 3 years, I came home every single night and slowly, steadily dismantled the life I was working 60 hours a week to build. I didn't yell, I didn't break anything. I never had a dramatic blow up that I could point to and say, that's where it went wrong. I just arrived wrong every single time. And I had absolutely no idea. This is that story. I'm Erica Carter Folk. Welcome back to the channel. Or welcome if you're new here. I want to say up front, this video is going to be different from my usual teaching content. It's personal. It's a story. My story. And I'm sharing it because in my years of doing this work, I have found that sometimes the science lands in the head and the story lands in the body. And it's the body where the real shift happens. So, if you ever looked back at a season of your life and realized you were present for everything and actually there for almost nothing, stay with me. This one's for you. I need to give you some context because the story only makes sense with it. I came into my coaching practice already having done significant personal work. I knew about nervous system regulation. I understood attachment theory. I had gone to therapy, done the workshops, read the books. By most measures, I was aware. And I was building something. Building a practice from scratch, which if you've done it, you know it asks everything from you. Every hour, every ounce of creativity and emotional energy, every bit of discipline you have. I was pouring everything I had into showing up fully for my clients, into developing my methodology, into being excellent at what I was doing. I was proud of that. Genuinely proud. What I could not see, what I was completely blind to, was the cost of all that excellence on the other side of the workday. I would finish my last session of the evening, sometimes 7 p.m., sometimes 8 or 9, and I would close my laptop and I would walk to the kitchen or wherever people in my life were, and I would be physically there, technically present, making eye contact, asking questions, going through the motions of presence, but I was running a background program the entire time. I was still in coach mode. Still assessing, still analyzing, still thinking about what I could have done differently in that last session, what I needed to do tomorrow, what I was building, what I was missing. My body had crossed the threshold. My nervous system was still completely at work. And through that lens, that still activated, still performing lens, I would interpret whatever was happening in my home. Was it efficient? Was it going well? Was there a problem to solve? Was there something that needed to be better? I was auditing my own life every evening and I didn't even know I was doing it. The effects were subtle at first, which is part of why it took me so long to see it. It wasn't dramatic. Nobody was calling me out on it. There was no confrontation, no intervention, no moment where someone said, "Erica, you need to actually arrive when you come home." What happened was quieter than that. And in some ways, harder to see. People stopped bringing me the small things. You know what I mean by the small things, right? The little everyday details that people share with you when they feel safe enough to. The funny thing that happened at the grocery store. The small frustration that needs to be witnessed before it goes away. The half-formed thought that just needs an ear. Those stopped coming my way. Not all at once, but gradually. The way a stream diverts around an obstacle. Not dramatically, just slowly finding a different path. The texture of my closest relationships started to thin. Conversations became more logistical. Check-ins became task-based. There was warmth, technically, but not the kind of warmth that you actually feel in your chest. And I told myself the story I think a lot of high achievers tell themselves. This is just a season. When the business is more established, when I have more capacity, when things slow down, I'll actually be present. I'll show up differently. This is just temporary. That story is a lie, not a malicious one, a comfortable one. Because the season never changes on its own. The capacity never magically appears. The armor doesn't lift itself. And what you practice every evening is what you get better at, including practicing arrived armored. The moment things shifted came through my own work, and it snuck up on me in the most unexpected way. I was in the middle of developing what would become the co-regulation framework I use with clients. I was deep in the research. Cachapio's work on social connection, Portage's polyvagal theory, the science of how human nervous systems literally regulate each other's biology. I had been sitting with this material for weeks, and I was teaching it, running through the concept with a client, explaining how our nervous system states broadcast to the people around us, how co-regulation means that the people closest to us aren't just noticing our state, they're biologically responding to it. And I watched my client's face change as the realization landed for her. And then I drove home that evening and walked through the door, and for the first time, not as a thought, but as a felt sense in my body, I registered the quality of the energy I was carrying into the room. The tightness in my jaw, the efficiency in my posture, the way my eyes went straight to scanning the space rather than landing on the people in it. I felt it as a broadcast, like I could actually sense what I was putting into the room. And I stood there for a second, just stood in the doorway, and I thought, I've been teaching this to other people for weeks, and I've been doing it to the people in my own life every single evening. That was the crack in the armor. Not a dramatic breakdown, not a blowout, just a moment of clarity so specific I couldn't unsee it. I want to be honest with you about this part because I think the wellness space does a real disservice when it packages change as clean and linear and fast. My first attempts were very much in the mindset lane, setting intentions in the car before I came inside, reminding myself to be present, taking a few deep breaths at the door and thinking about showing up differently. And those things helped me a little in the way that willpower helps, meaning inconsistently and a lot of effort and never quite reaching the deeper layer. What I noticed was that even when I thought my way into a better intention, my body wasn't following. I walk in with the best intentions, and within 10 minutes, I'd be scanning again, back in audit mode, back in performance mode. The armor doesn't respond to intention. It responds to input. The shift happened when I stopped trying to think my way out of it and started treating the transition as a somatic event, a biology event, something that required speaking the language of the nervous system, which is not language at all. It's movement and breath and sensation and the orienting response. I started doing the shake in my car before I came inside. 30 seconds of physical movement, hands, arms, shoulders, sometimes my whole torso. The first time I did it, I felt completely absurd. And the second time, slightly less absurd. By the third week, it had become something I genuinely look forward to because I could feel the shift it created. The cortisol physically moving through and out of my body. The muscles I've been holding tight all day being released. And then I added the sight. 3 things soft or safe in my environment to bring my neuroceptive system out of threat scan. A tree in the yard, the color of the sky, my own hands. And then the breath. 4 counts in, 8 counts out, 3 times. The extended exhale activated my vagus nerve. The biological signal for you're safe now. You can be home. The whole thing took less than 5 minutes. And I want to tell you what changed. Not in a sweeping transformation narrative, but in the specific, honest, grounded level truth of it. The first thing I noticed was my own experience of the evenings. That low-grade restlessness I had for years, the exhausted but I can't land feeling. where you're too depleted to do anything and too activated to actually rest. That started to ease. Not immediately, but week over week, the evenings started to have a different quality. There was more space in them. I could actually sit in a conversation without running a background process. I could watch something without half of my brain still somewhere else. The second thing, and this one took a little longer, so maybe like 6 to 8 weeks, was that people started bringing me the small things again. I didn't ask for it. I didn't announce that I was working on this. But gradually, slowly, the texture of my closest relationships started to feel back in. The little details came back. The casual vulnerability, the easy laughter. Because what I was broadcasting had changed. I was arriving differently. And the people around me, without any conscious analysis on their part, were responding to the different nervous system walking through the door. I also want to tell you what I noticed about myself in those moments. The shift from arriving armored to arriving actually present, it changed how other people's needs landed on me. When you're in armor mode, every need someone brings you feels like a demand on the system that is already at capacity. It registers as weight. When you actually transition, when you've given your body biological consent to be home, the same needs feel like connection. They feel like an invitation, which is, of course, what they always were. The need didn't change. The state receiving it did. I want to zoom out for a moment because I think there's something important here that goes beyond the personal story. We live in a culture that celebrates the armor. We reward the hypervigilance, the urgency, the emotional suppression, the ability to perform under pressure for 12 hours straight and still be sharp. We give raises and promotions and LinkedIn endorsements to people who wear the armor most effectively. And we give absolutely no cultural recognition to the skill of taking it off. There's no workshop at your corporate offsite called Biological Consent, how to actually arrive home. There's no metric on your performance review for quality of nervous system transition between professional and personal life. So we all just figure it out. Or we don't figure it out. And the cost of not figuring it out gets paid in the quality of our closest relationships, in the depth of our presence, in the slow erosion of the connections we're working so hard to protect. What I want you to hear is this. The armor isn't the problem. The armor kept you safe. The armor works. The only issue is that nobody handed you the tool to lay it down when the day is done. This work, the somatic work, the nervous system work, the biological consent work, this is what fills that gap. And it's learnable. I know it's learnable because I learned it, and I watch clients learn it every single week. If this story sounded familiar, if you recognize yourself in the pattern I was running, even a little bit, I want you to start the 3-step protocol I mentioned earlier. The shake, the sight, the breath. It's just 5 minutes before you cross the threshold. Start there. Do it consistently for 2 weeks and notice what changes. Not in you, but in the people around you. And if you want to go deeper, if you want to understand your specific nervous system profile, the particular flavor of armor your system defaults to, and where the pattern comes from in the first place, the Relational Nervous System Quiz is a free place to start. It takes about 2 minutes, and it'll tell you more about your relational patterns than most conversations do. The link is in the description. The Stop the Spiral workshop is where we do the work in real time, together, in a live somatic container. 60 minutes, $37. I built it specifically for the high achievers who understands everything I just said intellectually and needs to feel it move through their body. The link is also in the description. Subscribe if this work resonates. Share it with someone who needed to hear this story. And if you've been that person, the one who arrived wrong every evening and didn't know it, be gentle with yourself about that. You were doing the best you could with the tools you had. And now you have a different tool. I'll see you in the next one.